This is Top Shop Podcast.
Shop Podcast.
Top Shop Podcast.
Podcast for automotive service business owners by Paul Donahue.
So Tiffany, thank you so much for taking your time for Top Shop Podcast today. Today, we got a special guest, Tiffany Sherado. Did I say that right? Sherado?
No, Sherado.
Sherado. Okay. Sherado. Now, she's Lifetime Transmissions, and you've been there for a long time, right?
Well, yeah, my dad started in the automotive industry when I was 2.
Oh.
So kind of grown up around it.
So
he got into transmissions in the late 90s.
Okay.
But I came on full time with Lifetime Transmissions in 2013.
Okay. All right. So you were the daughter that grew up in the automotive.
Exactly. Yes.
Business.
Common story.
Yeah. So you kind of grew up in the business. What I really want to focus on is when I met you at Vision in March. And if you listeners do not know what Vision High Tech is, I highly suggest you go to milwaukee.org and you take a look. The Vision Trade Show that's put on by the ACA, the Auto Care Alliance. And I got to meet you there. And I was introduced to amazing women in automotive. And this sounded like just a fantastic organization because there are a lot of women that are in the automotive repair space, but they don't have their own special attention. It immediately, when I heard, the amazing women in automotive at the Vision Trade Show, what I was thinking of, Tiffany, was before this was you have to look at the history of women in the workplace. So I'm, a baby boomer. My father was in World War II. Well, in World War II, women built tanks. They built B-52 bombers. They built Jeeps and trucks and then when the war was over, they went back to being moms. So there's absolutely, so if anything proves that women in the workforce are exceedingly valuable and can pull their weight, just look at what the history of women did in this country just recently, because it's not that long ago in World War II. So let's start with amazing women. We'll talk about the transmission shop later. So you're the executive director, which is great. Tell me a little bit about how this idea came about and how we got Amazing Women in Automotive, which is, by the way, it's amazingwia.com. Amazingwia womeninautomotive.com. Go to the website, folks. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about it, Tiffany.
So we are actually under the umbrella of ESI, Education Seminar Institute.
Oh, okay.
We were started when the owner, Malin Newton, had a client of his who was berated during a 20 group that was held by another gentleman. And she ran out of there basically in tears. And it had bothered her so much that she had mentioned it to him at their next session. He's a coach. And when they were visiting at their next session, it really pulled at his heartstrings, and he was upset that had happened there. And he felt like women needed a space where they could talk and be supportive of one another and deal with these situations, because they do happen quite often where a woman is just looked at somebody who doesn't know what she's talking about in the industry.
Yeah.
And quite often, people, if they would give her a chance, are very surprised at how much she does know. And I've had these experiences even growing up in the industry with my father, because people don't often know your background. Right. They're just taking it at face value. So at least with groups like Amazing Women in Automotive, there's a place for them to connect. Like we did an in-person event with all the ladies there during Vision. We had a dinner, which was just wonderful. It's nice to kind of get away just for a few hours, because we're usually the ones in the office planning the event, right? We're making the arrangements. We're trying to get the plane ticket scheduled. We're just busy. And then you're getting in training. And it's like there's this few hours for you to just kind of breathe and enjoy each other's company, because there's not a lot of females around in your workspace. Most of the time there's 1, 2 if you're lucky in a lot of places, even with the bigger facilities. So that's kind of where this came about with Malin. He had started it. There was another young lady who was leading the group, and she had a passion that was pulling her in a different direction. And she asked me if I would be willing to take over for her. During that time was when COVID had hit. March of 2020 was when it was started. And we had gone through this whole PPP loan and EIDL loan and how do we keep our businesses going? And there was a lot of camaraderie that developed out of it, even though we were only able to meet virtually. I just could not let it go to the wayside. I felt like there was a lot that could be done with this group. So I agreed to go ahead and take it on. And we've kind of built on it what it is today. It's taken a little while because of when we started during COVID.
Right.
But we've seen a lot of traction last year.
Okay, so Amazing Women in Automotive focuses really on recruitment, retention, and support of women in the auto industry. What kind of things do you do that support these goals?
Sure. So I like to kind of look at it as a circle, right? So you recruit somebody in, you've got to retain them and support them while they're here. So we like to start at the school level where we're connecting with the schools. We're helping them create female student groups at the schools. There's a lot of grants giving out money right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really exciting. So we're working with a number of schools with the NSF grant right now that specifically sets aside money for recruitment of women, working with them on that. And then when you have a woman in the industry, when she is the only person in the shop or she's struggling, being able to be that support system for her.
I see.
She can come to the weekly meetings. She can come to the in-person events. She can connect with a mentor. There's a lot of options and things that we give those people who are in there for that retention piece.
Right.
And then, of course, the support as they want to grow. And then they want to give back as they change, traveling along their career. What they want out of life changes. And we want to be there for that so that it comes full circle. And then maybe they were the student, but now they're the mentor. And they're giving back, and this is it just grows.
I'm just wondering, I wish there was some sort of statistic because, when I go to shops all the time, it's always male. I go to get my tires changed, I go wherever. Now, I remember before I moved here where I'm at in Utah, I remember I got my oil changed at it's a chain place in Riverdale, just a few minutes down the road. And I remember of the 3 techs, and they do the basic stuff, oil changes and that kind of stuff, right. But 2 of the 3 were female.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is there any kind of statistics where more women are entering into the industry? Because, there's a lot of women where that kind of work, mechanical, just appeals to them. So it's not exactly, I wonder, do you know if there are more?
It's growing. It is definitely growing. There's only about 2% of us that make up the entire automotive industry at the moment.
Oh, 2%.
And it's a massive industry. So that's a really, really low number in the grand scheme of things.
Sure.
But I get a lot of questions at my booth. How do I get more women in? I think it starts by putting those ladies out in front so that we normalize seeing women in the industry so that when they're in 7th or 8th grade, they're already understanding that, hey, this is a potential opportunity and career path for me.
Right.
I can make money doing this.
Right.
Versus looking at it and going, oh, girls don't really do that. I should maybe become an elementary school teacher or go into social work or whatever. Something that's more typical.
Right.
That's kind of part of what we're working with on the schools as well. Getting the shops to become involved in the middle school level, because that's where you're going to change the minds of not only the students, but the parents as well.
I agree.
I
agree.
That's make a huge impact. It's going to take time, but it's going to make a huge impact.
Yeah, and we're in a little bit more progressive area. I want to separate progressive from woke. I am strictly against that. So, and you're in Oklahoma, so I think you're with me.
Yes.
So, but progressive where women have equal rights in the workplace type progressive, not stupid woke progressive. Right? So anyway, but so I think the schools are an awesome idea because when I was a kid growing up, all the high schools in Ohio where I grew up all had auto mechanics. I mean, every high school. There's not one high school that didn't have an auto mechanics. Then they were all sold. No. You got to go to college and get a master's degree and a bachelor's degree. Those are the ones, a lot of them working at McDonald's because they can't find jobs. So the trades were going to go now, top techs, 80, 120 grand a year, depending on what level of what level you're at, how much experience you have. It's not it's a high paid profession. So if it's introduced at the school level where they have a choice, then then that's the starting point. So leads into my next question. What makes your Amazing Women in Automotive different? Because there's other women's organizations out there. So what makes yours different, Esteem?
So I think the biggest difference is the fact that we are not part of any association. So we've been able to work with different associations. We're our own entity.
You're independent.
Women in Auto Care is a fantastic group, but they're with the Auto Care Association. So that's one of the things I'm able to be a little more flexible in what we do and how we do it, because we're not guided by the association and what they want to do. However, they're a fantastic group. I think you have to decide what it is you're looking for when you join a group like ours. I like to describe AWIA as a very grassroots group. We kind of started with shop owners and technicians. We're all still in the shop. None of us get paid. Everybody that works for us volunteers. Our members support the cause. So it's very, very grassroots. And if you want to get in on the ground level and really help and make a difference, I feel like our group really offers that, because anybody can do it.
Okay. Do you have a way of getting out to the female that's currently working in the industry, doesn't know about Amazing Women in Automotive? I wonder, how do you find these people?
So what we've been doing is, of course, like I met you at Vision. That's one of the ways we do it. We go to Vision. We go to ASTA in North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We have a wonderful.
I'll see you there.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
We have a fantastic association there. We've been working with ASTA. We have not only our annual dinner with the association during the event, but now they're hosting quarterly AWIA women's dinners as well.
Okay.
So we're growing those relationships. We're about to do the same thing with Vision, which I'm excited about. Sherry has been fantastic support of the group. She is a busy lady, but she puts on a fantastic show. So we're excited for them to be welcoming us like they have. And I'm excited to see what that's going to be, offered in the Midwest, or sort of a chapter, so to speak. But the more people that I can get involved by reaching out through these associations, through their members, and then sharing with wonderful people like you who are willing to put the word out here like this, so that a technician, when they're scrolling through their podcast, see this information.
Okay.
But that's our main way that we disseminate the information.
Okay.
Outside of just internet and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. How do you gauge your success? I mean, everybody, we've got KPIs that we have to follow, so how are you gauging the success of Amazing Women in Automotive?
Right. Well, for me, a lot of it is intrinsic, because I see the connections with the ladies. I see the mentorships. I see the impacts that are being made, which is hard to put a number on that in a lot of ways. The ability for the group to keep somebody in the industry. I've got a lot of success stories with young ladies who started and were really shy and a little bit introverted, and now they're some of my biggest champions for the group. Okay. We've had wonderful ladies come forward and allow us to write articles on them in Gears magazines. They've been doing women's profile pieces on transmission rebuilders and technicians for this will be our second year now.
Oh, will it? Okay.
Which is really exciting when you have groups like that, magazines and those kinds of places that are willing to allow you to put your name out there and spread that information. You're going somewhere. And then like at Vision, this is our third year there, but this year was the year people were like, oh, I was looking for your booth. They know you and they recognize you now.
Oh, that's great.
And so that's really exciting for us, because really 3 years, we haven't been around that long. So to see that recognition is fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I did research on going to, trade shows, and I was led to believe don't expect much out of your first one, but Vision was really far more than we had expected. So, and the next time I talk with Sherry, because I want to invite her on the podcast also, I'll let her know that it was a really great format for us. And I'm hoping 2 and 3, but it is right. It's not my first year. It's my 5th, 6th, 7th year. I go every year. I doubled my booth size. So for next year. So
yeah, and it's great. It's great to do. And it gives us access to the schools. It gives us access to the shops and the technicians. It gives us access to the shop owners. Yep. Some of the people who have the most concern with letting their technicians join AWI because they're afraid that they're going to be poached or they might go to another facility.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That has never happened. We make sure that that is understood, that this is not a place for that. And I have honestly never seen anybody attempt to do that because we're all there and focused for the right reason.
Okay.
And if there were a member that I had an issue with doing those things, we would definitely address it. But what I always like to let the owners know, if they're considering allowing their shop manager or service writer or whoever join and participate in the weekly meetings online, for example, and in the Facebook groups, that they understand if you give a woman an opportunity and you're supporting them like this, they are very loyal. Okay. They understand that you are invested in them. You want them to grow and gain knowledge and be the best that they can be. And there's a lot of weight held in something like that for a woman.
I'm in sales and marketing, so my gears are always turning. So if I owned a shop and I had one or more employees that were women and they were a member of Amazing Women in Automotive, I would want that on my front window. We are a member of Amazing Women in Automotive. Half of the customers that come in are women.
Yes. Absolutely. They're a huge market.
Yeah, and I would want that on my website too, okay? Because women will be like, what's this? I mean, they're looking to get an oil changer or their engine light is on. They got to take it to a repair shop and they don't know. They just go to Google and they find a shop or they're recommended to a shop and they go onto that website and they see, Amazing Women in Automotive, and they click on it because they don't know what it is.
Right.
This is a subconscious influencer to have them choose that shop. This is an excellent marketing tool, and I don't want to take what you do and turn it into marketing, but it is.
No, and we have considered that.
It's
and there's
a marketing
another company
tool
that actually does it. So we would be in direct competition with them, but it would be a little different than what they do.
Yeah. No, just if the shop has a woman that is in the industry and she's a member. I would want that badge on my website. I would want that a reverse sticker on my window or on my front counter saying that we're a member of the Amazing Women in Automotive, because that's going to appeal to the female customer. You got to remember, when I'm talking to potential clients to take them on to do their digital marketing, I am always looking for every little thing that we can do that gives them a little edge over what this guy's not doing over here. Yeah. And those little things add up. And it's 90% of the decisions that people make with marketing is subconscious. So you've got to appeal to the subconscious. So anyway, I think this is a great thing that we could discuss later, but this is something that really all the auto shop. Tell me about membership. I mean, is there a fee or?
No.
Okay, because I'm on your website and I'm looking, become a member. They just need to join the Facebook group, right?
They just need to join the Facebook group. That's all they have to do, and answer our submission questions so we can get a little data off of them.
Great.
That way we can communicate with them about the events and whatnot. And all I ask them to do is that they try to participate when they can. You know, if there's a school in that area, that they step up and volunteer for whatever that school needs. Since this is Women's History Month, we have a school in North Carolina that was putting on a Women's History event, and I had 5 ladies that said, we'll be there.
That's awesome.
Count us in. So they're doing a big in-person women's history thing about women in automotive and women in auto care. So it's pretty exciting. I'm very proud of our members. We've grown a lot this year since Vision. My goal is to add about 100 members to our Facebook group each year and continue that active participation and improve the numbers so that we have more women available for mentorship and things like that when we're recruiting students and working with these schools so that they have a good support system. And we are almost halfway there already this year.
Oh, you are? So, awesome. In March, in your first quarter. All right. That's awesome.
Exactly. We're at almost 50. So, I'm really excited about this year.
Crush some numbers. Okay, great. Yeah. So I'd like to see you guys become the largest, there's usually always one that dominates. So I think the idea of getting this into the shops where that logo with that mention into the actual shops is a phenomenal idea.
That'd be awesome to get that kind of recognition.
Yeah, because it's public awareness. So and public awareness is key. Let's talk, I guess, for the auto repair shop owner that's listening, I think there would be benefits to having some females on staff at some of these auto repair shops. Correct? Absolutely.
Particularly, I think the first space where the automotive industry really started recognizing the value of women is at that service writer counter. Yeah. We're very welcoming. Mm-hmm. We're very personable. We tend to be bubbly. We like to talk. We're caring. We'll listen. And most of the time, a big burly man's not going to yell at us like he would another gentleman, right?
That's right. That's right.
So we're pretty good at diffusing situations, when they begin to go wrong. And I think the dealers really notice that. Nissan in particular, I was just talking to somebody about them today. They're in the Nissan dealership here. They're all women. I don't know that they have one male service advisor here, at least not since the last time I had been in. I hadn't noticed one.
Yep, my service advisor in Florida at the Porsche dealership was female, and then the one in Denver was female. And I haven't been to the one here yet, so because thank goodness I haven't needed it. But yeah, they were both female. So,
that's a massive trend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and the auto repair shop owner should really consider finding and training somebody for that CSR, because customer service.
And then, like you had mentioned earlier, there is a huge market for women. Women are buying cars. Women are fixing their own cars.
Yep.
Quite often, the wife is bringing the vehicle in for the husband or spouse or children.
Correct.
So when they walk in and see another woman there, they're immediately put at ease.
Right. Yeah. They're guarded down.
There's already this sense of trust that they have just because of that connection.
Any idea how an auto repair shop owner would be able to try to specifically seek out a female CSR for their front counter?
There's a lot of really creative ways. We've seen a lot of people go to hotels and restaurants and find really strong customer service people.
And poach them.
You can teach sales, right?
Yeah.
Hotels are a fabulous place. There's one young lady that's in our group. She was taken from a hotel that somebody used to visit and made her service writer. Now she owns the shop. She bought it.
Oh, no kidding. Serious. She's a female owner.
She is a female owner now of a shop in California. Yep.
Okay.
So, the schools, there are sometimes, I've got a young lady right now that's in an automotive program at the high school level. The lifting and those kinds of things aren't really for her. She loves the working on cars and she loves the aspect of being in the automotive industry, but she doesn't want to do the manual labor. So she's looking for a mentor that can mentor her on CSR, customer relations. She wants to be a service writer to help customers. So that's a fantastic way as well to get those young women in the door from the schools.
Correct. Yeah. So there's a lot of women that don't want to sling tires, but then they have all kinds of technology today that we didn't have 20 years ago. We've got machines that come up right to the tire and take the tire off and does all the heavy lifting for them. So no, it's not a job for having the nice nail job, all the time.
That's for sure.
But that wouldn't attract that type of woman to the industry anyway. So right. So So anything. So what are your thoughts on? Let's go a little bit over towards the automotive. Been in the transmission business for a really long time. What do you see as the major trends of development that are shaping the future in the repair industry in the transmissions? What do you see that's really?
We are going to a lot of reman installation now, whereas years ago you had a lot of transmission builders in the shops. You built in-house. That is just not the case anymore. Hiring seasoned technicians, not happening in the transmission industry, because typically it would take so long for them to get to that point where they would understand transmissions and diagnostics and those kinds of things. So now, like in my shop in particular, we have one transmission rebuilder. He does a lot of the older model stuff, or maybe things that we can't get from a dealership now because it's discontinued. So it's nice to have him in-house for that. But we're really looking outside of the shop and acquiring reman units. So these big manufacturing companies are growing in numbers. There's a ton of them out there where years ago there was only a couple, or you went to the dealership, right?
Sure.
So you will not have transmission builders like we knew them in the past in the shops.
Okay.
You have these reman facilities with people who are building in almost like pods.
Sure. And they're specialists in that particular type of training.
Yep.
So it's much easier for you guys just to swap them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with the issues, I think COVID definitely kick-started that as well. We were already kind of moving in that direction. But then with the issues of getting parts and those kinds of things, your customers can't afford to go without their car for 2 months while the dealership's making a computer. So if you could get a reman unit that was already built and sitting on the shelf somewhere, you just did it. You took care of your customer and you got them out the door.
Right.
Because it just doesn't make sense to do that. The automotive industry is a lot, when it comes to our lifts, a lot like a table at a restaurant. You got to get them in and get them out. You may not make the markup on that builds, builder's transmission because all you're putting in is parts and a little bit of labor versus buying that unit. But if you can do 10 of them versus 5 of them in that week because of all the issues with parts, it's the same. It's the same. So you just have to look at it different. And that's scary now, even for a lot of transmission shops. They don't want to let go of that old fashioned style of we just build everything.
Right.
Build everything. We do it ourselves. It's just that's going away. It's just not possible.
Well, those businesses that don't keep up with current trends will go by the wayside, just leaving more business to the people that are keeping up with trends. And that's what I say with digital. So the ones that
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the biggest issues with all shops everywhere is finding, hiring, and training employees and techs. How do you guys handle that?
So we the last several that I have hired have come through our technology center. I sit on their advisory board, which is helpful because now the staff knows me. So then when they get a really great candidate that they think is going to be a great technician, I'm the first one that they call. So I highly recommend that people get involved with their tech schools because just calling them up and saying, hey, I want a student, there's no relationship there. So they may send you a student, but it might not be their best student. So developing those relationships are really important. I have had 2 just fantastic kids. One of them's actually hearing impaired. We were a little hesitant taking him at first because we didn't have anybody in the shop that spoke ASL, American Sign Language.
Right.
But he did have some hearing. He wasn't born deaf. So now we've just developed this way to communicate with him, and it works flawlessly.
Wow.
He's one of my best techs that I've ever seen, better than a lot of the seasoned techs, so to speak, that we've had in the industry. And unfortunately, I'm sure it's probably true in a lot of areas, a lot of our seasoned techs have a lot of bad habits I don't really want to deal with. So I can grow my own. I can make sure that they're following the proper procedures. I can make sure that they're taking pride in their work, that they don't have a lot of bad habits, that they have the same core values that we want them to have and the culture in our shop. So that's the way we've been doing it. And it's worked out great for us. Okay,
that's good advice. I always like asking this one. Yeah, can you name a time that was really difficult in your business? It's a family business, and you made it through? Because it's that kind of lifetime experience that a lot of other shop owners, like hearing about. So can you think of a very specific time that was exceedingly difficult for you guys and how you made it through?
Yeah, so I think maybe kind of going back to what you had asked earlier, we were touching on the changes coming in through the transmission.
Sure.
Facilities going to reman units and those kinds of things.
Right.
When we built our current building in 2016 and moved over here, we went from a 4-bay shop to a 10-bay shop.
Wow. Okay.
And, business was great over there. Business is booming over here. We had no idea how much we were going to grow just by moving to a front street like we had. The problem was we were getting backed up. I had cars everywhere. I had transmissions everywhere because we couldn't get the parts that we needed. Mm-hmm. And we were in that same boat a lot of transmission shops find themselves in. I have to build it. I have to build it. I have to build it. So one day we were like 10 cars deep, and Dad decided, okay, we're going to see what units we can get here, what's in stock, order all those, and let's see what happens. We're just going to try it. We're going to dive right in.
Right.
This is where we see it going. We're just going to have to do it. So my sister, who also works here, poor Dad only had 4 daughters. He didn't have any sons.
4 daughters. Okay. All right.
So she gets on the phone. We contact our reman facilities that we know of, that we trust. We ordered like 6 to 10 units. They just started coming in, put it in, get it out, put it in, get it out, put it in, get it out. And that for us is where everything changed. We learned the value of having the reman units and installing them. We learned the value of having those reman facilities as partners, and that you still have oversight over your product. There's still a relationship there. There's still lots of people to choose from. And knowing how they build it, and like Certified, for example, is we're a distributor for them. So we buy a lot of units from them.
Okay.
But they're fabulous. They have an open door policy. You can come in and tour their facility. The place is immaculate. He does just as good of a job as we do. He takes just as much pride in the product as we do. So we knew when we became a distributor, we were in good hands. But I think you just have to be open-minded in those times when you're struggling and you look around and you're like, I don't know what to do. And you have to take that risk.
Yeah.
You have to take that risk and just dive in and go, we're going to try it this way because the old way's not working, and just do it. So that would be my advice.
That's good advice. We just had a client just recently who was spending $7,500 a month on traditional. We're talking about mailers and stuff like that. And I'm like,
no.
You can't retarget people. So he was like so nervous. And I'm like, that same dollar, we can stretch it so far on digital where, if they touch your website, now they're going to see you when they go over here and they go over here and they go over there.
Well, and the targeting you're able to do, you're really able to see where your money's going now with the digital.
Exactly how many new leads you got, where they came from. I mean, so anyway, so we got him to make the switch, and now his biggest complaint is, I'm booked 3 weeks out. Can you slow down a little bit? So, anyway, so that's really good advice. So how do you approach competition in the industry? Do you see it as a threat or opportunity?
I think it's an opportunity. There is enough business for all of us. I am very saturated with transmission shops in my area and dealerships, actually. I think I have 5 transmission shops and maybe a 10 square mile radius, 3 or 4 dealerships, maybe more.
Oh, wow.
And we are all very busy. There is enough work for everybody. So I really don't like to think of other shops as competition. We don't do general repair, so we have some great relationships with general repair shops that we can send our customers to, and vice versa. I really feel like we need to be the industry to support each other and not try to compete with each other. We're all going to be different. And in our marketing, we all have to make ourselves stand out, just like you had mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have something to give you that edge. But there's a market for everybody. I had a customer today who said, oh my gosh, these guys are by far the most expensive. He was upset and gave us a bad review because we were the most expensive shop in town. And you can go down here and for $1,400, get, a cheap transmission put in. And I just told him, I understand that we're not for everybody. And I think he had made a comment about how we're not good for the community because of our pricing. So I was very polite about the response and just said, we set our prices based off the service we feel our community deserves. Our technicians are paid well. They're trained. We offer benefits and things that a lot of shops in our area don't offer. And we have to be priced accordingly to be able to provide those things.
That was a very good answer, yeah.
And that we just appreciated, the opportunity to earn his business. We're sorry we couldn't do it at that time. And, we wished him lots of long, safe miles ahead. So, yeah, but I mean, you're not going to be for everybody, but you can't allow other people to designate your pricing and, your business.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. That's great. So Tiffany, if someone wants to support Amazing Women in Automotive, is there anything that they can do or?
Absolutely. When we have our in-person events, we're always looking for sponsors. So if somebody is interested in becoming a sponsor for like our women's dinners, we also have annual sponsorship opportunities available where their logos and everything can go with us to all of our different events, no matter where we are, whether we're at Vision or ASTA Expo this year. Their logos would be plastered as a sponsorship, in support of AWIA and Women in Automotive. You can always send a check, or make a donation to our general fund because, like I said, none of us get paid. So we have to have support to pay for our flights, hotels, and things of that nature. Okay. When we go to these events, just to have our costs covered.
Sure.
A lot of the associations donate our booths for us, so that's taken care of. But there's still costs associated with that. So that's outside of just becoming a member and help supporting the cause. If you want to financially help and keep us going, those 2 ways really make a huge impact for us to be able to keep going and doing what we do.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, well, we really appreciate your time today. We really hope that we can advance the Amazing Women in Automotive, help get it out to more people. And, just chipping away year after year, more and more people will get to know. Having you at the helm with some goals that you guys are shooting for and targeting tells me a lot because there's a lot of organizations and companies that operate with no goals. And if you don't have a goal to shoot for, you have nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. No, I agree. Well, thank you so much for having us and speaking with me today. I really appreciate it. It was wonderful to meet you at Vision as well.
Yeah. I'll see you in September, ASTA.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, it will.
For additional automotive resources and exclusive content, follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all our episodes. Thanks again for joining us in the driver's seat, and we'll see you next time for another thrilling episode of Top Shop.